I think we're ready to get going. I'm so excited. So, here's one of the reasons that I really like talking about money. And some of you may know this, some of you may not know this. I used to work in the financial sector. I was many, many positions, but for about 7 years, I worked at a bank that has a stagecoach and some PR problems right now. I left before any of that stuff. But I was, let's see, I was a teller, lead teller, customer service representative, banker, and small business specialist, right? So you see where I'm going. I did a lot of stuff for the bank. So I have some experience when it comes to money, right? I dealt with money every single day. It really kind of changed my perspective working in a bank and having that one-on-one interaction with money from a removed perspective. And when I say a removed perspective, when you work for a bank, you handle a lot of money that isn't yours, so there's no attachment to it, right? There's no attachment. I can recall times, and I'm not exaggerating, I'm not, these aren't tall tales. I remember holding $500,000 in my hands, right? We were processing money from big events. We had a lot of money coming in. And I remember holding, large amounts of money that normal people just don't get to do. So it really kind of gave me a really interesting opportunity and different understanding of money. Now, let me digress for a moment. My initial experience with money was not good. My familial experience was not necessarily happy, if you will. I feel like a lot of my childhood issues were surrounded by money or my mother's concern about money or lack thereof. Things that I wasn't allowed to do because of money, or, fears surrounding money, or, thousands and thousands of things contingent on money, right? When they should not have been contingent on money, right? So I will say, I had a lot of money shit to work through, to overcome. That's something that I've been working through for a long time. For a really long time, I really resented money. I really actually kind of hated it. I detested the fact that we lived in a society where we couldn't, deal with things on our own, and that we needed this, interpersonal communication, if you will, to handle these currencies, these transactions. So if you're there, I get it. So I'm speaking from a place of coming from a lot of money issues to a place where I find money in my wallet all the time. I manifested myself an amazing job, and I named my salary, which put me back pretty close to where I was when I was working a corporate job. I've kind of done a 180 here. So that's why I'm up here talking about money, sharing these experiences with you guys, because it is possible. It can be done. And I want to be the first to say, if you feel like you're stressed about money and you are in a space of worrying, know that that can be changed, right? Anything can shift. In every moment, we have an opportunity, right? So as soon as you identify that something doesn't feel comfortable to you, know that that's an opportunity for growth and for change, right? Now, I will say, this didn't happen overnight, right? This did take some process, and this did take some time. But again, it is possible. Again, I'm not that old, right? You guys see, I don't have like some magical, Facebook mask on. There's nothing, hiding anything. I'm only 30. So, I've done this in the space of, less than 10 years working through all of my money stuff. But, I will tell you guys, my number one goal for 2018 was getting out of debt. I had, at the beginning of the year, I think about $13,000 on my credit card, and that was the highest amount I'd ever been. And I didn't know how I was going to take care of that. I didn't have regular income, all of these things, right? And so my next payment, my December payment, I'm actually going to pay off that credit card, and it's going to be at zero. So it's totally possible. Everything is possible, but we're going to talk about getting clear with stuff, and we're going to talk about kind of reprogramming ourselves today. So are you on board? You with me? Does it sound good? Does it sound manageable? Because like I said, I've done it, but it's going to take a little work. A little bit of like thinking about things in a different way. Because here's the thing. If you were already thinking about it and you were already doing it, it would have already been done. Do you know what I mean? So we have to change the way we're going about things in order to achieve a different trajectory. Does that make sense? Can't do the same things and expect a different response, I guess is what I'm getting at. So I hope that's making sense. I think y'all are on board with me. Okay, cool. So I know a lot of you guys have been watching along with me lately. We've been kind of talking about a lot of big collective consciousness ideas. And so a lot of times, you know, the ideas that I talk about weekly, I'll kind of bounce ideas back and forth with my partner, with a lot of the other moderators here in the lab. And so I asked my partner, William, it's like, what do you know, I'm talking about money today. Anything you want to add in? Literally 2 words he says. It's fake. I was like, yep, done. Cool. That's like literally my entire conversation today. Cool. Glad we're on the same page. So to paraphrase today's lesson, it's fake. What I mean by that is, let's think about banking. Let's think about money, right? Let's think about why we have dollar bills, right? Let's see, I have this huge little note thing. I want to make sure I hit all my notes today because they're really good. And so we have money because money is currency, right? Currency is an agreed upon medium of exchange. Because think about it. We can't really be in a space of, hey, I need a shoe fixed, but oh, I have a cow. What's the exchange rate, right? If money is good, right? I'm not here to say that money is a bad thing. Money makes it an even playing field. So we do need money. However, money has distorted a lot of how we perceive things, right? Because money itself has been distorted. And so think about a standard dollar bill. And again, I live in America. You can hear my accent, right? I'm pretty American. So again, I'm speaking from an American perspective. I don't know what it is in your country, but again, American perspective. In America, our bills, right? They used to be, in the past, our US Treasury was backed by a gold and silver standard. What that meant was, for every bill, we had the equivalent amount in gold, right? In an actual gold piece, gold bar, gold coin, what have you, or silver, right? Depending on the bill. Because back in the day, you actually had silver certificates, right? You could tell what was backed by silver. So I'm kind of a nerd. Remember, I worked in the bank, so I also collected money. So I will throw a lot of nerdy stuff at you. I was actually kind of wanting to teach you guys how to detect counterfeit currency, because that's something I used to do in banking, because that's always fun. But that's, you know, if we have time, let me know if you guys want to do that, because that's always entertaining. But things were backed by actual gold and silver. Guess what? Hasn't been like that for years, for like decades. I don't know the numbers, I don't remember the years specifically, but it's not. So when the government's like, we're $30 billion in debt, to who? To what? No, these are numbers. And so yes, it plays with inflation, and yes, it adjusts things. However, it's not really there. So again, money is an idea agreed upon by the collective consciousness, kind of like time, right? We've talked about time. That's one of my favorite topics to talk about, Because again, it doesn't exist. It is something that has been agreed on by the collective consciousness, right? So think about money as your exchange for services, right? And so some of you heard, I told the story a couple weeks ago, I was joking around with William that we should play that big lottery that happened, whatever, it was 170 million or billion, I wasn't even paying attention. The one that everybody was playing, right? And so I was joking with him that we should go buy a lottery ticket. And then the next day, I find a brand spanking new $20 bill in the parking lot of a restaurant. As soon as I hop out of the car, just like it popped out of an ATM, hadn't been creased, hadn't been touched, nothing. Presented to me because I asked the universe for money. And so what do? Of course, I go buy the lotto ticket because I was like, hey, now I don't have to pull money out of my own pocket and we'll see what's happening, right? And so literally as soon as I bought the lotto ticket, I knew that it wasn't a winner, right? But here's the lesson. Here's what Spirit told me. Here's what Spirit filled me in on that. I didn't get that because everybody was looking at that same resource, right? Everybody was looking at that one lotto. So think about how many tickets were purchased, right? How many tickets were purchased for that one big pot? Everybody's focusing on that one thing. And so all of that collective energy going to one thing, of course I'm not going to get it because everybody else is also focusing on that. When truly, money is an infinite resource, right? All I had to do was ask for money and I got a brand new $20 bill. Money is an infinite resource. We just weren't trained in that respect. We may have been taught, what did you say before? Money is the root of all evil. So let's talk about, what are some money blocks? What are some things we've been taught about money that we are ready to get rid of? Because there's a lot. Money is the root of all evil is a huge one. There's another one that I wrote down. You have to work to make a living, right? You have to work hard. That was always a really big one in my family. Like, you have to work hard to make money. Well, why? Make it be easy, right? Does it have to be hard? No. If you say it has to be hard, well, guess what? You're programming that in for yourself. So if you don't want it to be hard, don't say it's going to be hard, right? So what are some old beliefs about money that you guys are ready to let go of? Chris Hoffman, I love you. You say, I get paid for being me. Yes, that is an excellent affirmation. That is such a good way to switch it around. And you're like reading my mind with this lesson already. I'm so proud of you. Because the next thing that I was going to talk about was the concept of self-esteem versus self-worth, right? And so Chris is already right there, right on the money. You know it, son. Good job. You guys, he must be psychic. I don't know. I don't have another excuse for that. He must be psychic. So we're going to talk a little bit about self-esteem and self-worth. So self-esteem is your perception of your value. Self-worth is your innate value. Self-esteem is the way you see your value. Self-worth is what your value truly is. So things can get a little distorted when it comes to how we've been taught, how we've been conditioned, what our parents brought us up to believe, what their parents brought them up to believe, right? A lot of you, your parents may have been raised in Depression era, grandparents. So, we've talked about how these things get passed down through our genetics. So knowing what we know, it makes sense how we react, how we respond. But here's the thing. What's the story you're telling yourself? You get to change the story. So if you don't want to have a hard time with money, if you don't want to have blocks with money, guess what? You don't have to have blocks with money. It's really a matter of perception. And as soon as I started to understand that, I stopped having a hard time with money because I wasn't resentful of it anymore. Because when you resent something, you're creating tension between yourself and that, entity or person, right? If you're resenting a person. So the more you dislike something, the more it's going to dislike you, right? So you have to kind of work at repairing your relationship and how you treat it and how you respect it and frankly, how you respect yourself, because that has a lot to do with it. Because here's the thing, if you don't value yourself, you're not going to really be getting value for what you're doing. I think you know that, right? I think we all kind of understand those basic principles. There has to be some sort of value within yourself for you to understand that, yeah, you are worth making more than minimum wage. You are worth making whatever you need to be making, whatever you desire to be making. And so it's really important for you to understand that a lot of it has to do with opening yourself up to possibilities. Now, that being said, we don't always understand how that translates or how that's going to look. And a lot of times the intuition part of this can be very, very confusing. Because again, if you knew how to get there, you'd already be there. But the intuition leads us in different ways, down different paths that we would have never thought or conceptualized, right? So you gotta roll with it, as crazy as it sounds sometimes. And so your perception of your value and your innate let me go back a second, just so you guys know, I am reading from week 5 of my book, Release Density and Shift Your Life. Your perception of your value and your innate value are meant to be in alignment. They should be the same. We compare and observe reactions of people around us to our actions as we take responsibility for others' emotions, feelings, actions based on other people react to us or not. Typically, this starts with family. We feel we must have the acceptance of others to feel that we are good enough instead of looking inwards to find that love and self-acceptance. Okay? So those of you who struggle with money, I really want you to stop, take a look inward, and see if we also are struggling with some self-esteem issues as well. Because a lot of times those are going to be mirrors. Because if we don't think we are valuable, we're not going to receive value in our day-to-day lives. Does that make sense, right? We have to believe that we are so we can bring it in, right? Hope you guys are with me, right? So reframe your sense of value. And so I have a note here about bartering. And so when we talk about reframing your sense of value, those of you who have skills that are different, that have value, know your value. And so one of the reasons that I say this is, for example, when I go get my haircut, I just trade services. I know what my services are worth, and I know what a haircut is worth. And the hairdresser appreciates, me sitting down and giving him guidance, for 20, 30 minutes while I'm on the chair. And for me, that's a good, energetic exchange. And so for me, that's a currency, right? That's money that doesn't have to come out of my pocket. And a lot of times he hands me product as I walk out the door. Here, use this, and, this will take care of that. Great. Thank you. Love you. See you next time, right? I do that a lot. Other services too, right? Guys, be creative. Don't push things, right? But people appreciate the opportunity to exchange services when they are also in a service-based profession. But again, don't take advantage of those values, right? Know your value and know your worth. And that's also a test in boundaries as well, right? Maintaining that value. So guys, I just kind of want to reiterate, there's no shortage of money. We're not running out. There's never going to be not enough money, right? Even though sometimes you look at your bank account and you're like, Girl, you wrong. There is a shortage of money. No, I promise. There's always money. It just may not be where you think it is, right? Because I guarantee if you really need money, there's something that can be liquidated, right? It's just not maybe in the form that you think it is, right? Your bank account, that's liquid, right? You can access it at any time. However, if you need something, guess what? Your brand new PS4 and video games, also currency, right? So don't get caught up in the whole money thing when it's really currency, right? Something that I think a lot of people kind of get wrapped up in is the the idea that we like have to have it, right? This whole we need money. Like, yes, we do need money, but there are more important things, right? When we stop focusing on it, when we stop like hounding on it, it allows it to free up, right? When we release the expectation, we can move freely through it. Hi, everybody who's just jumping on. Mary LaFleur, Melissa, welcome. Yes, Jessica, money is just energy. Exactly. Totally, totally, totally. And so I think I saw this somewhere on Facebook, but I really liked it. It's an anagram, and it spells out money, right? That's what an anagram is. But it's my own new energy yield, money. Right? So try and do whatever it takes for you to reframe money. And again, everybody's going to have a little different perspective on money. You know, things that happen in their past, things that they may have done as an adult, right? We all have our issues. But guess what? Every person has an opportunity to learn from that and to grow from it. Because guess what? I'm now not going to run up a debt on my credit card, right? I've learned my lesson. I've gotten up there, gotten back down. Now it's not going to happen again, right? So we learn our lessons. But that's the thing. If we don't stop and learn the lessons, we keep repeating them, right? A lot of people with money problems, they go in circles and circles, and they're constantly chasing their tails and going paycheck to paycheck and trying to make ends meet because they're doing the same thing. But that's the problem. If you're doing the same thing, you're getting the same results. So we have to do something different. So would you like to do a meditation? Do you guys want to do a meditation to remove some blocks that you have around money? Does that sound good? Give me, that was a question on my notes because I didn't know if you guys wanted to do that, if you felt like doing it. So let me know in the comments. Give me some likes, some hearts. I love some hearts. Some love if you guys want to do a meditation. Jessica and all these things, more money, more problems. Well, and see, that's the thing. If you say shit like that, it's going to be problems, right? Don't say shit. Awesome. Okay, so you guys are into it. That's the thing, you guys, we're so conditioned and we don't even like think about the things that we say and the things that come out of our mouth. Do you know what I mean? Like we're so just like ingrained in all this stuff. And that's why we talk about the collective consciousness, right? That's why we keep bringing it up. So we can bring awareness to it. So we can pull back from it and say, hey, this is fucking crazy town. Let's not go there. Let's step out of this, right? But we have to pull ourselves back in order to take that look and say, oh, we don't want to be here, right? Okay. So my disclaimer, as always, when we're about to start a meditation, if you are driving, operating heavy machinery, cooking dinner, doing anything that is not safe, please do not participate in this meditation at this time. You can always come back and watch the replay. However, if you are in a space that you can join us, please go ahead and find a nice, quiet space, somewhere comfortable that you can perhaps lie down or sit up, whatever feels good to you. I'm not judgy, but you do you. So We're going to do a brief meditation today that will assist you in removing blockages surrounding money. So we're going to have you start by taking a few deep breaths. Inhale through your nose and exhale through your mouth. Inhale through your nose and exhale through your mouth. Inhale through your nose and exhale. This time we're going to take a journey. Allow your attention just to be gentle and unfocused. You can listen to the sound of my voice, but if you lose track of it, don't worry. Your inner self is listening, and everything that you need you will be getting out of this experience today. With your mind's eye, I'd like you to envision walking on a path. Start by looking down. Notice your feet, the path you're walking on, any surroundings, any sounds you may hear, any smells, any sensations. As you keep walking, you notice that you are coming to a lake. As you approach the lake, you notice in the distance that there's a dock. It looks rather inviting and you'd like to visit it. As you approach this dock, you notice it's full of packages. You're curious to see what those packages say. Walk right up to those packages and notice they're all your problems with money. Take a look at what's written on those packages. Don't get overwhelmed, because you see that there's a raft at the end of this dock. And you know that all of those packages are going to be loaded one by one onto that raft. So go ahead and start loading those onto that raft. Any past issues with money, any blocks that you may have to receiving abundance, any fears of not being enough, almost there. Make sure you get all of those packages on that raft. And as soon as all of those packages are off that dock, push that raft into the lake. Watch as Mother Nature takes it moves it downstream. You start feeling lighter. All of those burdens, all of those stresses released. As it keeps flowing, you get lighter. There's less pressure on your chest, less tension in your jaw. Your muscles are relaxing one by one. As you realize the raft is all the way out of your sight, you feel wonderful. You feel light and alleviated and bright. This time you can thank Mother Nature for helping you to remove those blockages. And know that you can come back to this dock at any time you have anything you need to release. This is your sacred space. Mother Nature will always be here with a raft for you to release anything back into her divine space. At this time, I'd like you to start coming back into your present space. In the third dimension, on the earthly plane, you can start by wiggling your fingers and toes, slowly rocking your head from side to side, and open your eyes gently as you come back to us. So how was that experience for everyone? Adele said, packages said not needed, return to sender. Yes, awesome. Before we got to the raft, this was awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you. You are so welcome. Yanni Sale said, beautiful. Yay, I'm glad you enjoyed it. I hope you guys feel a sense of relief, feel a sense of empowerment that you are able to let go of these things. And I think it's really important, if you guys have a journal around you, make note of what you saw, right? Make note of what was on those boxes. Sometimes we are aware of things and sometimes we're not aware of things, right? And sometimes we just need those gentle reminders to let them go, right? Because things that we think that we may have dealt with before can still linger, right? Jessica says, great, I almost kicked them into the lake. Yes, yes, get out. Totally get it. Kelly says, thank you, gonna use that for emotional work. Awesome. Yay. Okay, so I'm glad you guys like that. Kelly said, awesome meditation. Yay, I'm glad you guys like that. I always like to give you guys, actual things that we can do, that we can reuse regularly, tools. And now we're going to, Rock said he took some notes. Awesome, awesome, awesome. The things that we find in meditation are really, these are the golden nuggets, because nobody can tell us those inner learnings, right? We have to go deep. We have to go inside to understand, to facilitate them. And so now I'm going to talk about some of my tips for manifesting, and then I'm going to talk about some just kind of tips for the holidays, because I know holidays can be stressful when it comes to money. So let's talk about some tips for manifesting. The first tip I have is be nice to your money, right? Don't call it the root of all evil if you want more of it. That's not going to help you, right? You want to be nice to it. I think, and somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Trisha Carr actually was the one who said, thank your money. And if not, I'm, giving Trisha credit anyway. But thank your money. Be grateful. Every time you go out and you spend money, say thank you to the universe, right? Thank you that I have this money, that I'm able to do this, that I'm able to participate, right? That I'm able to buy groceries, right? That I'm able to put gas in my car, that I'm able to pay my bills. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Because guess what? If we don't show gratitude for what we already have, we're not going to get more. Okay? Rule 1. If we don't show gratitude, we won't get more. So important to show gratitude. Keep in mind with that, put your money in something nice. Don't have a beat up wallet, right? Respect your money, respect what's holding it. Because again, everything is energy. So if you have it in some beat up, tattered, and torn wallet, guess what? Your finances are probably going to be beat up, tattered, and torn. I'm not saying to go out and buy, a $500 Louis Vuitton wallet, but at the same time, have a little respect, right? So there's a balance in there for everybody, and that's going to be up to you to find that balance. But you guys get what I'm saying. Money, like we've said, is energy, and it has to move, okay? Energy can't stand still. It can't be stagnant. Otherwise, we get disease. We get pain in the body. Same thing with money. It has to move, okay? So sitting on money, collecting it in a bank account, is great, but when we're talking money energy-wise, it has to move, right? So keep in mind, if you're not spending your money, something's going to happen where you're going to have to spend your money, right? So I would rather be proactive and move the money before the money has to move. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense to you guys. I know that sounds maybe a little backwards, but move the money. The money is not meant to sit, right? It is a currency. It is meant to be exchanged. It is not meant to sit. Another manifesting tip, be clear with what you want. I talk to a lot of people who are like, I want $1 billion, or I want to win the lottery. Well, what the hell would you do with it? For real, what would you actually do with $1 billion? No, you have to be clear, because guess what? The universe gives you exactly what you need, right? Nobody needs $1 million, right? You could need a house. You could need a car. You could need, clothes, XYZ. There's things that you need specifically, right? So if you're manifesting, manifest the object, and the money comes after that, right? Don't manifest the money for the object. That doesn't work. Manifest the object, and it comes from there. And so part of being clear with what you want to is making sure that you actually have goals set up to achieve it. Because again, I didn't just pay off my credit card by happenstance. I had a plan. I had goals, right? But part of that included, me getting a job, right? So, well, not necessarily me getting a job, but me finding steady weekly income, which at that point meant me getting a job, right? For everybody, that doesn't mean the same thing. And that's what I'm trying to get you guys to think about. Money is different for every single person, right? When I say job, when I say work, for me, that's a very loose term, okay? I get paid pretty decent money to not do a heck of a lot of stuff, frankly. It works out pretty well. I'm not fighting the system. Don't hate the player, hate the game. Like we've talked about, intuition may be confusing at times, but you have to listen to it, right? Because if you knew how to do it, you would have already done it. So sometimes your intuition can lead you to what may be a strange place. Get out of your own head and just listen to it, right? It may sound weird. It may sound crazy. It may not make sense to anybody else. It doesn't need to, right? You're the one getting the message for a reason. So listen to your intuition. I know a lot of people who write themselves abundance checks. I think I've done that maybe once. I think it's a really great tool if you're into like physical manifestation tools. I think it's a really great option. writing yourself a check. But again, we need to be clear on why we're manifesting things, right? So just writing yourself an abundance check for like $1 million isn't necessarily helpful because you're not being really clear with the universe on what that $1 million is for, right? And so I'm going to tell you what my manifestation ritual routine has been lately. Have you guys heard the song Dinero by J-Lo? It's kind of a new-ish song. It's probably less than a year old, right? But it's upbeat, it's poppy, and I will blast that and dance around to it and sing at the top of my lungs. Because she is saying, yo quiero dinero, I want money, I want some of the lyrics are, I want the brie, I want the money, I want the cash flow, right? So the song is almost like an affirmation of like bringing money to you. And it's pretty positive, right? There's a lot of songs about money, right? People talk about money all the time that maybe aren't so positive. But Dinero by J-Lo has been my manifestation money song lately. So just kind of blasting that, dancing around, and really kind of envisioning where I want to be, what I want to be doing, and the resources that I need to be doing them, right? But being really clear about what those resources look like, because again, if you start manifesting money may come in from sources you may not want, right? So you have to be really clear about the object, right? Because the money is how we get to the object, right? You don't necessarily just need to have a ton of money. That's just hoarding. Sorry, it just is. But, everybody can live comfortably. You guys get what I'm saying, right? Do you guys have questions, comments, anything we've talked about so far before I kind of talk about branch off and talk about the holiday money situation? Hi, Amy. I'm glad you're catching me live too. Jeremy says, Trisha says, money represents freedom. That's kind of how I visualize my manifestation and intentions. I'm creating freedom in my life, and if money is the process by which freedom will present itself, then so be it. Yes, exactly. Jessica says, if we keep our fists clenched holding onto it, then how can money come in? Yes, exactly. But how does money flow out as well? So think about it. If we are showing gratitude for money going out, we get money back in. And if we are not grateful for how we're spending money, should we be spending the money in that fashion? Does that make sense? I really personally try and shop local, shop at small merchants when I can. And so every time I do that, it really kind of helps with that sense, right? So I hope that makes sense. Adele says, lately I've been putting small change from purchases into charity boxes on the counter. Amazingly, it returns to me in the form of energy, an energy exchange of sorts. Yes, exactly. What we give comes back threefold, fourfold, tenfold, right? So we have to give in order to receive. Just like, a lot of times I talk about if you want new clothes, you have to make space in your closet, right? You have to give up some of that space to kind of make room. Same thing. It's got to move. Amy, did I start later than normal? Doesn't matter. It's my lucky day. So Amy, I had to change along with everybody else time zones when time changed a couple weeks ago. So now I'm at 3 o'clock Arizona time instead of 2 o'clock Arizona time. So yes, sorry that jacked it up for you, honey. Mary says, love this topic. Awesome. Okay. So we are going to talk a little bit about holidays and just kind of some friendly reminders about money in the holidays, right? And so the first thing I want to say is remember the reason for the season, right? And so I say this as somebody who is very Jewish. You guys know I've talked about him before, very involved in our synagogue, grew up very, very Jewish. And my cousins went to religious school. My family wanted me to go to religious school. Like, it was a whole thing, right? But the reason for the season, and we have, Hanukkah is our main holiday this time of year. But here's the thing, it's not actually a main holiday. It's not a major holiday. It didn't become a major holiday until it started to kind of compete with Christmas. And that's a little strange, but the consumerism aspect made it start to compete with Christmas. But when I say remember the reason for the season, Hanukkah is the festival of lights. We celebrate that we only had enough light for the temple to burn candles for one night, for it to be lit for one night, and it stayed lit for 8 nights, right? So it's the festival of lights. It's a celebration of a miracle. But, we kind of forget about all of that in, the face of consumerism, trying to compete with Christmas and everything that's become. So remember the reason that you're celebrating the holidays. It's not so you can give everybody presents, is it? No. Remember the reason for the season. Memories mean more than gifts, toys, clothes that they're going to outgrow, that they don't like anyway, toys that are going to break, right, that they're not even going to remember in 3 weeks, that are going to end up in some box somewhere that you're going to be donating in 4 months anyway, right? You guys, this is familiar to everybody. Think about experiences versus things, right? How can you create memories? How can you create long-lasting experiences? Because that's what the holidays should be about, right? It shouldn't be about gifts. It shouldn't be about the material things, right? None of the holidays are about materialism. We've put that in. The collective consciousness has added that in to the holidays, okay? Keep in mind, handmade things are golden. People love, love, love handmade things. If you're a baker, if you cook, if you like to DIY stuff, guys, anything heartfelt is really much better anyway than something bought that doesn't, ooh, somebody bought me a candle set. Great. Oh, somebody poured me a candle. That's cool, right? You see the difference? And guess which one's a lot cheaper? Okay. So know your person's love language, right? This really helps when it comes to not over or underdoing, right? If you're getting things for somebody, you should know how they best receive them, right? If it's a spouse or a partner, if it's a child. And frankly, if you don't know their love language, do you really need to be giving them a gift? Are they really that close? Do we really need to be exchanging gifts with every single person? Maybe not. Just saying. Think about how you can set new traditions and reinstate things, right? Just because we've always done something doesn't mean that that's the way we need to keep doing things, right? There comes a time where we can say, okay, let's try doing something different. Let's try having a new tradition, right? So if that means, I've talked about this before. When I was younger, we used to adopt a family, and that really changed my perspective too, to understand that there was people who they really didn't want gifts. They wanted clothes. They wanted necessities, right? So that gave it a much different perspective. So really kind of think about how we can change traditions in a more positive light. Because there's a lot of opportunities to give back and really kind of change that conversation. Don't keep up with the Jones. Don't go into debt over the holidays, right? Friendly reminders. But guys, I worked in banking. You have no idea how many people I saw racking up their credit cards. And frankly, I don't think kids really appreciate it anyway. It's always more, more, more. So just don't. Just, you know what I mean, right? Don't go crazy. Don't put yourself out over something that you don't need to, right? Because you think that it's going to change everything. It's not. It's setting unrealistic expectations. And then next year you have to, go further and further and further. And then, you have a mound of expectations and no way to manage it, right? So be realistic. And always shift to gratitude. Anytime something's up, anytime I need a shift, it's always to gratitude, right? What is there to be grateful for in this life, in this space? How can I show my gratitude, express how grateful I am for the opportunities that I have, for the money I do have, right? So always look to shift to gratitude if you're trying to figure out how to work through a tough space. So do you guys have, that is the end of what I have prepared for our lesson today on money. Do you guys have any questions about money blocks that you have specifically around money? Anything that came up during the meditation, anything you want to talk about? I'm going to scroll through comments and see what's going on in the chat. Amy says, I love handmade things, especially since it means so much. They made it with me in mind, means so much. Exactly, see? Jessica says, I dislike clutter, and I'm just like, please don't buy me something to buy me something because you feel bad. Right. Don't buy people just random shit. I have an entire closet of just like random gifts that I re-gift, right? I'm sure everybody does. I grew up with that, right? You just have a closet of stuff. DJ Jelly is in the house. Oh, you guys are goofy. It's hard to see your comments as they're coming up. I'll be able to follow your train of conversation later when I go back. Oh, I'm glad you liked it, Adele. Adele said, thank you, awesome class, keep shining brightly. Thank you so much. Rock said, very intuitive lesson, thanks. You guys are so welcome, I'm glad you liked it. I know money can be kind of a touchy topic, kind of a taboo topic, but it doesn't, like with anything, guys, it doesn't need to be hard, but we need to be able to talk about it and have frank, honest, open conversations. But it's really about shifting our perspective around it. Jessica says, some people's love language is giving and some are receiving, but it definitely needs to be catered to that individual. Yes. And so that's the thing. If you don't know how your people like to be giving gifts, are you A, really that close with them, and B, do they need to be getting gifts from you if you don't know how they like to be receiving them? Do you know what I mean? So I think we try and overcompensate for a lot of things unnecessarily. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. So yeah, like I said, important to kind of know your situation, know where your people are at, right? Because everybody's going to react and receive differently. I hope you guys enjoyed this class. It was really fun for me teaching it today. If you guys do have any other, questions, things that come up around money, anything you guys want to talk about, drop comments on the replay for me. Excuse me, we'll see if I can get those answered for you. Hope this class was good for you. It was good for me. I'm so grateful you decided to join me for some time this afternoon. Thank you again so much for sharing space. I love you guys so much. I will see you next week. I'm trying to think. Yeah, I'll see you guys next week, right? For another edition of Soulful Self-Care. Love you guys. See ya.